9 minutes. My name is Levi Kones. This morning we are going to be having a discussion with a gentleman who I had wanted to come here some weeks back, but we were somehow not able to do that. But I guess the timing is just right. Yes. BABIOR Newton, the author of the book, The Rise of a Hustler. From chicken seller to presidency. Welcome, BABIOR.
Thank you very much, man.
Good to have you here.
Long time.
Good to have you here. Good to have you here.
Yes.
Tell me, this book, you know, it's interesting. You wrote this book, printed, finished, how many months ago?
6 months before election.
6 months before election.
Yes.
And you are sure?
Yes.
That this title was going to be Chicken Seller to Presidency? Yes.
You know, in some very good books that I've read, yeah, there's a book about Koitalel Arap Samoei. Yeah. Koitalel Arap Samoei, in his small meeting with Kalenjin elders, trying to tell them about something, a dream he had of a long snake which was going to come in future. And of a dream, that was a dream about something he dreamt. So just to, when the Indians started building train in Kenya, people came to realize the prophecy of Koitalel Arap Samoei, like almost 10 or 20 years later. Just like him, I prophesied about the coming of this gentleman, that William Samoei Ruto was going to be president. I did not just put it in a 2-page transcript. I did a book of 680 pages. The signs were very serious that many people didn't see it. So I find a lot. At some point now, when I sit back and read the book, I am even surprising myself. So I want to thank me for have predicted it right. Yes.
And you've ended the book with the speech from the UDA acceptance, yes, of the nomination of the president.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Whose final words are, you know, I accept this nomination with humility. I commit that I will do my very best to make sure that I don't let you down. And I will actualize the aspirations and the wishes of each and every one of you.
Yes.
And make your dream come true.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
You tell me, let's go to the beginning. How did you meet William Ruto? First meeting ever?
First meeting ever was, there was an event which was happening in Kakamega. So I went there. It was actually gubernatorial convent. It's always called...
It's 20 what?
2018, 2019. The one which he closed.
Oh, yeah. It was in Kakamega.
In Kakamega.
Yeah. It was devolution conference.
Yes. So I was, it was a coincidence that he was in that event. I was there. So I tried my best, came close to him, and I told him, you know, we had a conversation. He shook my hand, asked me, who are you? I introduced myself. I told him that I really admire you a lot, and I am an author. One day I will write your story. So he laughed. He asked me where do you study, what do you do? He asked me, you know, one thing with William Ruto, every time you meet, he will ask, he's very keen on knowing people. And once you've told him your name, he will never forget. That's something about him. He will never forget who you are. So fast forward now, when I came to start, I came to start doing the research about his life. I had already known how I could meet him. Now, after I finished the first manuscript about this book, I made an effort of meeting him, which was very easy. He's a very easy person. And I took him through the project and what I was doing and how, and he embraced it. And once he embraced it, from that point, we started working on what now culminated to be the rise of a hustler, from chicken seller to presidency. So I think in all that sitting down with him, I was I learned a lot. I learned a lot about him, and I left, and I've always been convinced that he is a great leader. He knows what he's doing, he knows how to get it, and he knows how to get around it.
So you say you began working on it. So, you know, I think I asked these questions also partly as a writer now.
Yes.
So take me through the skeleton. Now, you want to start writing the book. This is quite a voluminous book.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
It's not, it'll take quite a while to get through the read.
Yes.
And I see you've started with the origin of the Nandi,
Yes.
you know, the Kalenjin leadership.
Yes.
And before you come to chapter 2 where you talk about, you know, Daktari
Yes.
himself.
Yes.
Do you, did in your beginning, did you have a mind frame that this is where I'll start and this is how I'll end up? Because when you're telling the chicken seller to presidency story, where did you think you would start from? And when you started, or did you start by talking, you know, with him about it, or did you write some pages and then you go and see him? How did this work out?
This one worked out this way. I wrote 98%. I wrote, you know, writing a book has 3 processes. First, let me define who I am in this book, or what is this book
About?
We have biographies, and then we have autobiographies. Then we also have memoirs. You get it? So myself, I was writing biography. You get it? So when I conceived the idea of writing the book, I first wrote the most important parts in the book. Then now, when I sat down with him, I was asking him questions in each chapter. Actually, each chapter I was asking 6 questions. Each chapter, I was asking 6 questions. So there's a chapter which I added the moment I finished the book, is the history of the Nandi. Because I sent this book to a friend of mine in the US. He read the entire book and then he asked me, where does, you know, Africa is very ethnic. Which ethnic community does William Ruto come from? If I have to trace his roots. So that question, that review report made me to go back and start now researching the history of Nandi. Otherwise, I was just going to start, William Ruto was born in this place, in Kamagut.
And then you'd have continued the story.
I would have. Yeah. The story was starting on high, dipping down shortly, and then coming up. But you see, now I started the storyline. The storyline of this book comes down as it goes like that. So I gave it. Many other reviewers, who I was giving the book to read, were telling me that it was important that you write the originality of where it's come from. As long as you wanted to appear different from other authors.
Yeah.
I didn't want to involve the Nandi part. I wanted to give him a statesman look and a national leader look and give it that brush. So after a lot of recommendation, I decided to start with the history of Nandi, which took me a lot of time to research. And because I don't understand some Nandi language, I learned the language in the process. Yes, because I will consult with people and they will ask me. I will ask them, what does this word mean? And I translate that word into English. And I worked with translators. And that is how now I got to a point whereby I'd written a concrete history of Nandi. Yes, and I've also referred from other books, other books like many other books which were written about the history and migration of Nandi people. You realize that even when I was writing this book, I came to learn or relearn what I learned in high school, that Nandis are Nilots, which are not far from where I was born. You get it? So Highland Nilots, how they migrated and that kind of stuff. And that one was something that I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed that. So that is how I created the book.
Yeah. Well, it's very intriguing that you say, I don't know what's happening with that. It's very intriguing that you say that you got into a discussion with him as you were writing the book.
Yes.
Yeah. So you actually, after the first time, you said, you know what, I'm going to write your book. He decided, well, you know what, come write the book.
Yes. Yes.
So it involved you going where? To the Deputy President's residence?
The first
How
time,
was that like for you?
the first time we bumped on each other, I just told him that I admired your story, I admired your leadership skills, how you do your politics. I'm a young person, I'm an author, I may consider writing your book one day. And actually when I got now back to him was like after 1 year, is when now I told him I've been working on something here, can you look at it? Now, that journey now started at that point. With his busy schedule and that kind of stuff, I think we kicked it from that point, and now that is what culminated to what you see. And even when I had written the book, I went back and worked with my editor backwards. We were failing to find the title of the book. I wrote this book from the beginning to the end without the title.
Yeah, sometimes that happens.
From the beginning to the end without title. And then now I asked, I pray a lot. I asked God that I really needed a title which will really, a kicker title, which will really transcend what I want to give to, what I want to communicate to the people.
What was the reception like when you first released it?
So one day, I am going through some of my old titles of the books, and I'm learning that, I had already done something, a cover in 2018, and a design. So I just placed from chicken seller to the presidency. And then I realized I really needed a bigger title. Then I went and told somebody that actually this book should be called The Rise of a Hustler. After I did send this thing to some of my friends who might be having a different political affiliation, they told me that don't write that, it's not the rise of a hustler, it's the rise and fall of a hustler. To discourage me, I said, no, it is the rise of a hustler. It's the time for the hustler to rise. They said, no, this is your book after 10th. It will be relevant book. I told them, I am prophesizing this right. It is going to be the rise of a hustler. And that is how I decided on that title. Yes.
So you get the title. When did you launch the book?
I launched the book sometimes in June.
Yeah. Where? How was that like?
It was the biggest event I've never been. I was even terrified to deliver my speech in my own book launch. It was at Trademark Hotel in Village Market. It was so big until, I'm not, for a long time I haven't held microphone like this to speak before people. So
Was the hustler present?
He had gone to Mombasa, but technically I did not want him to come because I did not want the book to look like it's a praise song for him. You get it?
So who did you invite there?
I invited Barack Muluka, Korir Singoe Korir, who is my best friend. I invited PLO Lumumba, who for certain reasons...
People who can dissect a book.
Yes. I invited intellect, Gladys Beausoleil. I invited serious people, and we had a plenary discussion, and I understood that there were people who were understanding my book better than I did. And I give shout out to Barack Muluka and Singoe, Korir, and many other people who came to that book launch. They gave this book a life. From that, actually, from that book launch is when I came to realize the weight that I was carrying on my shoulders. From that point is when I came to realize the weight that I was carrying on. I was not doing a small thing. It may have appeared small to me, or may have appeared just, you know, marathon runners. They run, they win, anasema Chelagat nimemaliza raundi kwa 20 minutes, point 1. They think that is a small thing. Us, we can even take 1 hour to run that place he has run for 20 minutes, whatever. You get it? It didn't appear to me the weight of what I was doing. It didn't appear to me. Until when I finished, it's when it appeared to me that I had really done something. Actually, even when I went home, vile huanga wanasema nililala na kiatu. It was very amazing for me. I did not know, and somebody just told me, do you know what you have just done? You've just done something serious. And
tell me,
yes.
So how has life changed since the book?
Life has changed a lot. I am someone who, my phone doesn't go off. I've received more congratulation messages. I don't know if William, President-elect, has received those. I've received more congratulation messages than the President-elect himself. Now in post, there's a process which I will come back later. Now at the moment, my phone is ringing constantly of people who are congratulating me for being a biographer of President-elect. And actually, when he changed his name to be President-elect, I changed my title to be biographer to President-elect. When he will change his name to be President, I will change my title to presidential biographer. That's it. And that journey was not easy. I would like to say that supporting, after that book launch, I had some celebration for 2, 3, 4 days. But after that, I came to learn of the responsibility that I was carrying on my shoulder. One, I was actually being associated that I was so close to him.
And are you?
He's someone who is close to people, and he loves people, and he loved people around him. Yes.
That's a very political answer.
I will not claim. I will not claim that I'm so close to him. But it's someone who, if he meets me, he will cherish me. He will give me his time. We will talk. He's not a decisive person. And 3, 4 days after I left that book launch, you know, after we launched here in Bomas, now I went for a book tour in Kisumu, where you heard that the books were burnt. Yeah.
How many books were burnt, by the way? Tell me about the story of how the books, what happened to the books
like
there?
200 books were burnt there. Now giving the first account here, 200 books were burnt. And I did not know how those people learned about that the books.
What happened? Where were you? How did you get a hold of this?
I was sleeping in an hotel in Kisumu City, one of the hotels there. One of the hotels there, best. I'd gone there. We were to have an event in the same hotel the following day in the morning. So my organizers told me that you need to go and sleep early because the event here is going to be big as we are planning things. So I went to sleep early. At around 10, I was called by someone who informed me that things were not so good, that book launch may have a backlash. So because it was happening a day after, at around 9, I started seeing things on social media that the book was being burnt. So
before anyone called you?
before anyone called me.
Mm-hmm.
So I wished it away. Somebody just sent me that they have confiscated some books. Some group has confiscated some group.
Where were the books?
Somewhere in one of the estates there. You know, the book were handled separately. I went there, I flew, and somebody came. So what they did was, I think they hijacked the person who was...
Oh, so they were to move them from where they were to the hotel for this launch.
So the following day in the morning at around 4 p.m., the hotel came and checked me out and told me, man, we can't have this continue, unfortunately. You have to leave. So that is the unfortunate situation that happened there. I also worked like others. The books were banned and that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. For the first time, I left Kisumu to Kakamega and to Eldoret. I had never followed that road in my entire life, because I could not follow Kisumu to Kericho. I was told not to follow that. And with a police escort. So I came to realize that there was so much occupational hazard. Yeah,
politics tends to be personal, and people get personal when they see that a person of maybe their own area is not being, like you wrote a book, and the first book you wrote was, Raila.
The Raila conspiracy.
Yes, and you said the man who?
The secrets behind denying him the Kenyan presidency.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
You said the president that never was.
Yes.
Is what you said, yes?
Yes, actually, yeah.
So you already had and then you're from, ethnicity, you're from Luo Nyanza.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
So I think, considering Kenyans are very, we get very personal about people who come from our areas.
One thing that I like to add is that I don't know if that one applies to me. What applies to me, I look at things in a. I know that has been.
Have you been called a traitor?
I have been called names in my Facebook page, which was hacked. I used to receive 200 people abuses in a week. 200 abuses, blogs, cyber bullying. I had a point that somebody even created a fake account to tarnish my name. It was so hard. I had to come out of the social media.
So you don't
for
have
like 4 months. I only have a small social media where I have only 2 people who are my friends, Facebook, just to see what is happening there.
You're not active?
Yeah, I'm not active now at all. Cyberbullying
ran you out?
Ran me out. It pushed me to a wall that if my family members told me, you need to come out of Facebook.
You know, somebody once said,
yes.
The president, Uhuru Kenyatta.
Yes.
If Uhuru Kenyatta was ran out of Twitter, then who are you?
They kicked me out of Facebook.
They kicked him out of Twitter.
But they kicked me out of that place. I came to realize it is social media is just like a school or a classroom with people who you are not meeting, but their words can actually pierce you to a point you are not actually turning up to even talk to them. Because I constantly told them that I predicted that William Ruto was going to be president. Constantly told them. Constantly. There was even a time when I was once so close to Professor Nyang'nyong, the governor of Kisumu. And one day he told me that I used to give him point papers. I like writing papers, advisory papers, right? And in one of the advisory paper, which was 16 pages, I told him that William Ruto, I gave him the document and told him that William Ruto was going to be president. 2019, 2020? Yes, I told him that if you take this direction, William, prepare for William Ruto presidency. Prepare for William Ruto presidency. They are telling you, prepare. Now I'm telling him, prepare for William Ruto presidency. So you know, those are, and then there were also, you know, people are threatening you, people are bullying you, so much which is happening. Media houses, I will not mention any, but I had a situation whereby my serialization deal with a media house was cancelled after call from above. I was told that after it was hyped, that
it would be serialized.
It was hyped on this front page. It was a front page story. After 2 or 3 days, they told me that we received a phone call from above. We are canceling the serialization plan.
Oh dear.
Another thing, one time I was in a TV station somewhere, and we had just started an interview. I was checked out from an interview just like this. I was told we can't proceed. And another point, many journalists were failing to look at this book objectively. I don't know now if they will read the same book and look at it the same way they were looking at it.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I think this country, one thing that needs to be done, we need to have a report on how journalists should do their stories. We need to have a report.
Why so?
On how, and guidelines on how media should do and carry their business.
Why do you say that?
There's a lot of toxic, unprofessional journalism in this country. A lot of it. If you may allow me, I may name names, and you'll be very shocked. Things which are very unprofessional. A story is being done, a media station is sending a journalist to come to interview you, and in the process of that interview, you come to realize that the way they are carrying this thing, they just want to know where you live, who you are close to, interview you. Then after they do the entire interview, somebody is being taken that clip too, and that story never see the light of the day. They are now operating as a division of the security or investigation. That is very unprofessional.
So you've seen the fire of what it means to write even political books.
Yes, political, and I even think that this could be the last political book that I've written. I can tell you, living with the fear to a point that even if, you know where I stay, I have a Cameroonian boy who likes football. So over the weekend he will be playing ball. It might be one of the time the ball will hit my gate. So there was nothing which was scary to me like hearing something is banging my gate. Rather than running to the gate, I ran to the CCTV. Because there is a mentality that this person is not liked by the state. The state is not going to allow him to be president. You are supporting the wrong candidate. This person is actually should not be the president or should not even be a presidential candidate. I had a situation whereby I went to Nairobi Club with one of my friends. And this person admitted to me that I'm not a supporter of William Ruto, but because I am your greatest supporter, I'm going to buy 5 copies of your book. And we were seated close to a women group which was seated there. In these women, one of them, I think, is an MP somewhere in Nyanza. They came close to us and started looking at the book, and they bashed me seriously. They bashed me. I actually was facing the same bashing that William, I was in his image. I was facing the same. It was not, now it was, mine was very bad because people can just actually walk in and tell me that people told me stories that are never. So that thing made me so much afraid. Cons, Levy cons. If I had to,
I've made some jokes about that cons, Manenos.
if I had to, that
Yeah.
I actually wrote a letter to 3 countries in Europe, and I was actually supposed to leave today in one of, to seek asylum if William Ruto lost the election.
You are running away. It was that bad?
It was bad.
Oh, yeah, sorry to hear that, brother.
Today
We
on
only have-
Friday, I was supposed to leave to Belgium or maybe Germany to go and stay there, start a new life there for another 5 years or 6 years. It was bad. This guy has saved us, and he should take this thing with a lot of humility, serve the people of Kenya, and move and bring the country together. What this thing has taught us, that you should never despise anyone. However, how much chariots, power, horses, military you have, you can never, ever, ever write off a human being who has 2 legs like you. Yes.
Yeah, I
He was
agree with you.
written off. You remember in one of the prayer breakfasts, he even asked for forgiveness. He almost even knelt to these people. But this guy said, you are a sinner than us, and put him on the cross. And you know what? Barabbas was released and was walking around free. That kind of crucifixion should not happen in this country. Just like he said yesterday, we should now go back to our phone and talk freely. I want to live in my country, free. Sometimes police stop me and tell me they want to deport me. How do you deport a Kenyan?
It has happened before.
It happened to me. I was stopped, being told that I need to be deported. Maybe they didn't do my background check well. You get it? And that is why we are asking William Ruto, when he gets to the presidency the first day, let Miguna come back home. Let him come home. If there is anything that he did wrong, it should be charged with the Kenyan law, because Kenya is a country with laws, working laws. But the biasness that we saw, there was a lot of biasness in this election. Serious biasness. People don't think. Politics is emotional. Like
It is. It is.
Very
Let me ask you,
emotional, yes.
as we come to the end, you know, first of all, tell us, where can we find your book?
My book, you can you can always inbox me at BABIOR Newton on my Facebook. You'll get it, and you can also go to a bookstore at Yaya. You can also go to. I have the books is all over in all the libraries. But if you inbox me, you'll just get the book instant. It will be delivered to you instantly within few days. Like it can take 1 day. Yes.
Just find you on social media,
Social
on
media,
Facebook,
yes,
BABIOR
yes,
Newton.
yes. And then,
send
by
you
the
a-
way, something again.
Yes.
You know, many bookshops refuse to stock my books
Why?
because it was about a candidate who was going to lose election, and that man was called William Ruto, and he was not loved by the government.
I think now they'll be calling you.
And I will receive them. I will not revenge. That
Fuata nyayo, don't revenge.
Mimi nafuata nyayo bwana. Mmoja alisema tufuate nyayo bwana. Nitafuata nyayo. We
Sasa
will-
unafuata nyayo ya William.
Yes, nafuata nyayo ya William. We will
Una-
not revenge. We are peace-loving people. We want to bring our country together. Kenya need to move forward.
It does. It does. It does.
And for our brothers in Azimio who may have not been lucky, I ask them to take it in their heart that there is always another day. We will work together as a country. The government is very big, by the way. But the biggest information that I would like to send outside there and appreciate people, there was no single form of violence, which really made me proud.
Yes.
Yes.
That was very good.
Yes.
I appreciate you coming, Babior.
Thank you. Thank you.
Our time is up, but how I wish we had more time to discuss.
59 minutes is that short.
59 minutes. You have a book that we cannot read in 59 minutes, or even talk about.
We will try to have a more session on it.
We will try.
Yes.
The Rise of a Hustler by BABIOR Newton. You can get it, says in bookstores, or you can look for him.
In Eldoret, actually, there's a bookstore down
at Barrington Plaza.
Yes.
Yes. I know that bookstore. I've got a book there too.
Oh.
Yeah. It's called Destiny's Bookshop.
Yes.
You can get it in Eldoret, Barrington Plaza, ground floor.
Yes.
Or you can get, seek him out on Facebook. He says,
Yes.
BABIOR Newton.
Yeah.
Find him. Get this book.
Yes.
From Chicken Seller to Presidency, written 6 months ago. And to think we were supposed to have a discussion just a month ago.
Yes. For sure. Before the election, right?
Yeah. We were going to talk about this, but God even knew we would have this discussion on this day when this story is actually actualized.
God's plan.
You know.
God's plan. Wow.
Thank you, my brother.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'm humbled, and I'd like to thank everyone there. Everyone who is watching, be inspired, feel inspired, and know that you can also be great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's 59 minutes for today. Stay tuned for Leah coming up with the lawsuit. And get the book, From Chicken Seller to Presidency, The Rise of a Hustler by BABIOR Newton. Good day.
Thank you.